Hi, my name is Sahil Aggarwal, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of One. In this short video, I want to talk to you about what One is, how it works, and then show you a couple of use cases live in the product. One is the best employee on the revenue team that I jokingly say that can never leave. It connects to all your data sources and builds a context graph based on the data that it has access to, and it uses that to understand your revenue motion. Once it understands your revenue motion, it will know your business better than anyone else on the team, and then it can go and complete any knowledge work in a fraction of the time. Essentially, one becomes your VP of RevOps that everyone on your revenue team will have access to: your sales leaders, your sales managers, your AEs, your BI teams, your Salesforce admins, your product marketing, and so on and so forth. So, any activity that used to take hours, days, weeks, or months will be done in an order of magnitude less time. Very quickly, how it works is you will integrate your systems. Now, this will be both your structured data and it will be your unstructured data. Your structured data that lives in CRM or data warehouse, and your unstructured data that lives in your call recorder, your email systems, your enablement platforms, your engagement platforms like Outreach or Salesloft, and your Google Drive or Notion or SharePoint. All these integrations are one click, and there is no setup for the human to do. Once one has access to all of this, it will then train a foundational model like a Claude Opus 4.6 or a Chat GPT 5.4 on your business. And this is the step that takes one 3 to 7 days, depending upon your data volume. And what one is doing in this time period is going through your last 2 years of historical deals and normalizing for bad data. What is your sales playbook? Why was the deal won? Why was it lost? What did the rep do and not do? At what date did the deal enter into X stage? And is there a data discrepancy between what it is seeing from your playbooks, your calls and emails, and what has been entered into CRM? Because it normalizes last 2 years of data, it can then build upon a solid foundation of data that it can then go and understand the business. And after this 3 to 7 day period, one will come back to you with an understanding of the business. You can correct things that you think it got wrong, but usually we have seen it is pretty much on the money. And now your VP of RevOps is ready to complete any task. Before I show you a use case, I want to talk to you about the breadth of capability. It is for every single persona on the revenue team for any knowledge work that you do. The most complex task, even though it happens once a quarter, is prepping for the board deck. And now CROs can build a board deck without even going to RevOps or your analyst or your BI teams, and they can just do it all autonomously. Your VPs of sales can use it for deal risk analysis, for call reviews at scale. Your AEs can actually use this as their AI sales manager. So before they go to their sales manager, they can talk to one about deal prep and what are they missing. It is for your RevOps team as well, because now they can do territory planning, comp modeling, data hygiene, process documentation, all from this one interface. And then it is for your CS teams for churn risk modeling. It is for your product marketing team for win loss analysis. Now, what this looks like in action. This is Vaughn. I am going to give it a task. The interface is natural language, and I'm going to give it a very hard task, which is analyze all my SMB accounts and tell me which ones are at risk of churn. And I wanted to go through my Salesforce data for activity. I wanted to go through Snowflake where my product data lives. I wanted to go into Gong for any negative sentiment. And then I wanted to go into Zendesk for any support escalations. Now I have hundreds of accounts. and I'm asking it to go through all these data sources. In a few seconds, I'll show you the output of something like this, because for a query like this, one will run for anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. But for a few seconds, I want to show you the thinking process, because this is where the magic is. Now, one needs to understand what is the definition of churn in my system. It needs to understand which fields to use for understanding amount field. And it needs to understand the bindings between Snowflake data, Zendesk data, Gong data, and Salesforce activity. Because it has built the context graph, you can see it is pulling that context here. So the first thing it pulled is a definition of churn and which fields are used. The second thing it pulled is how are expansions categorized. The third things that it pulled are how are renewals categorized in the system. And this is what it needs to answer a question like this. And now, as you can see, it is pulling different things from different systems, and at any point I can audit exactly what it is doing, which also means there are no hallucinations because everything is rooted in structured data. Now let me show you the output of a query like this. So I'll scroll to the top. It is the same question. I asked it to mask names, a number, and context. It ran for a little over 3 minutes. As you can see, it made a bunch of tool calls to get to the answer. And then this is the response that it came back with. You can pause this video to read this response. But essentially, it analyzed 101 customer accounts. It distributed them in risk categories. It gave key findings, and as you can see, there is a scoring methodology. Now, this scoring methodology is based on its own understanding of my business on why over the last 2 years we have seen churn. And because it has gone through all the data, it has a point of view. But of course, if I want to change anything, I will just come in here and ask. Now, it also gave me a CSV export of every single account and every single metric. So if I want to, I can dig deep. The next thing that I did is I asked it, hey, can you also segment this by risk type? I want to see accounts with competitive risk. I want to see accounts that are not touched and accounts that have negative sentiment. As you can see, it came back with the same 101 accounts and distributed them across these three categories like I asked. It gave me the overlap between segments, and then it manipulated the same CSV and added these three more tabs with those accounts in those particular categories. As you can see here, I have 16 accounts where there's competitive risk. My subsequent question to it is for these competitive risk account, take the top three by ARR, and then for these, build me a PowerPoint deck that my CSM can take into a customer meeting. It ran for a little under 4 minutes, and then it built me those four decks. And if I click on any one of those decks, you can see these are in my branding. These are very detailed and thorough presentations. So this is account health and engagement, engagement timeline, value that we have delivered to them, the impact that they have seen or that we have heard on calls and emails, the competitive landscape, and positioning strategy. And ending with recommended next steps. Now imagine this would have taken an analyst a couple of hours to a day if they were going through hundreds of accounts and all these data sources. And the system can do it in less than 30 minutes and get you the output that might even be better than what a human would create in 10x the time. So this is one. Now one is agentic in the sense that it's not just it's creating these assets. You can ask it to automatically enroll those people into a outreach or a Salesforce Salesloft sequence, and it will write personalized emails to this at-risk account and put them into sequence. You can also ask it to update Salesforce, either individual records or at bulk, where you can say all the red accounts go and update their status in Salesforce to at risk. And it will give you an approve or reject button. If I can show an example here, a separate example, but then it will come back with the change that it's going to make and give me approve and reject. And once I hit approve, it can go and update the Salesforce underlying Salesforce records. I can ask it to send me a weekly email with all new accounts that are at risk, and then build me a safe plan for those. So the use cases are sort of endless here. And what I usually tell people is that you should not invent use cases for one. You should just give it the task that you're working on that particular date. And the first time that you give it a task and it does it better than what you would have done in a fraction of the time, that is where you get that aha moment of why not just use it for every task. So this is one. I hope you will uh, use this in a trial and can see all the benefits yourself. Hope this was helpful. Thank you.